Hi, this is Frank. So let's take a look at some of the visual aids here. There's 41 of them all together. This one's been around for a long time. The graphic story of 100 young people now aged 25. 40 years later at retirement, 1 will be rich, 4 financially independent, 5 will still be working, 12 will be broke, 29 dead, 49 dependent on friends, social security, charity. Where do you want to be? Now again, very emotional. They'll all come back and they'll say, I want to be rich or financially independent. And great, now we can analyze their portfolio, and most of them are going to need some kind of planning help. This is the same kind of chart, just with different coloring. Once again, you choose which one you prefer. This is the old lifeline over here. And yeah, you talk about the learning years. This is when you're at university. You're now earning 100,000, 200,000 a year. This is your earning years. The challenge is so many people don't plan for retirement, and that becomes the yearning years. 29 people die before they retire. 90% leaving their families in trouble. And out of the 71 that retire, only 5 are going to really live in a good kind of luxury. Here's another one. How long do you spend planning your annual holiday? How long have you spent planning the longest holiday of your life? Here's a really emotional one, and again the graphics are really good here. Would you rather be a retired gentleman or lady or an old age pensioner? Let me tell you a difference between the two. I see some clients, they plan really well, they put away. When they retire, they become a retired gentleman or lady. They have 3 children. 1 now lives in Singapore, 1 in Hong Kong, 1 in Dubai. They can get onto the plane 3 times a year, sit in business class, go and visit and play with their grandchildren. You can play golf 3 times a week. That's someone that plans. I see other people that say they want to think about it, and they really don't plan that well, and they become old age pensioners, going back, and from living a great lifestyle, they now live in a council flat. They see the kids and the grandkids once every 3 years. They sit at the back of the plane next to the toilet, and they can't afford to play golf anymore. What would you rather be? Here's a great little one. If I'm sitting with a client, I'll say, do you know there's only 2 types of pension? Do you know what they are? No, tell me, Frank. Big ones and small ones. Which would you prefer to own? And again, that gets a little chuckle out of them and gets them thinking, yeah, I want a big pension. And again, here's a whole lot of other charts, living longer but spending more time unhealthily. Now, if we look at this, in 1981, life expectancy was about 64 years old. This is for a male. I mean, take a look at this. We're in 2013-14. That was in 2001. Life expectancy is nearly at 90. So really, if you're retiring at 60 or 65, life just starts right now. Here's some really good ones as well. This is the earning life cycle. Most people, you're at school, university, you start working. You're now at the peak of your career, earning £10,000, $10,000 a month. You then get older, you retire, and there's no more income coming in. But if you look at the expenditure, that goes up as well, and then it starts to come down. But hang on, at the age of about 70, it starts going up again, and that's because of ill health, that kind of thing. You need more money, and the challenge is, if you compare the two, that's what you've got there, the crisis gap. If you don't plan for that, where are you going to get the money to pay for that? If you plan well, you've got it. Now again, going back to that one, leading on from there, the crisis gap, I then say to them, which of these are you prepared to do without when you retire? Your car, your holidays, socializing, eating out, the pub, new clothes, golf, presents, hobbies, and just keep quiet. It's amazing because it gets them really thinking. And then I come back with the good news saying this is the comfort cycle where you actually have more money than you need to spend. When you retire, it won't matter how much money you've earned when you retire, just how much money you've saved. Because I know so many people, they earn an absolute fortune and they spend it all. Here's some interesting statistics. Drivers behind a ideal retirement location. Now I work with a lot of expats around the world, and I would show them this, saying, yes, some of the places statistics show us, research shows us where people are going to retire and the reasons why. And the main reasons people are going to retire at some of these places are tax efficiency, cost of living. Big one, my family is there, quality of life, or the weather, and these are the top spots. Where do you reckon you would want to go, and what would be the reasons you would want to retire there? Now once again, it gets them thinking about where they want to be and why they want to be there. Somebody says to me, you know what, come back next year, Frank. I'll say to them, okay, let's have a look at an average plan over here, 20-year savings plan, $1,000 a month, assuming a 9% growth. Now, again, remember, you've got these. You can change that to 3, 4%, whatever you want to. But really what this is illustrating is the power of compound interest. So if you start 1 year later, the compound effect of that is the same as a cost of a Porsche. Let's talk about family protection. Would you want your family to continue with the same lifestyle you provided for them? And now you start talking about, would you want them to go to the same schools? Would you want them to live in the same area? You wouldn't want your wife to feel that she's got to go and get married again purely because she hasn't got money. So this picture leads into a really big conversation about life cover. Here's a big one, education planning. Now again, we all want to send our kids to the best universities, and let's take a look here at the world rankings of the top 10 universities. Top, MIT in United States in Boston, second Cambridge, Harvard, UCL and United Kingdom, then Oxford. Interesting, the top 10 both in United Kingdom or United States. But let's see what it would cost to send your kids there. Let's take the top one, MIT in Boston. Over there, your basic costs there, $43,000 plus some other extended insurance plan, activity fee. That's before you even add in their living costs. Let's have a look at the Cambridge University over here. Just a normal kind of degree, £13,000. Yeah, that's $20,000. But if you're going to do medicine or veterinary science, £33,000 a year. Multiply that by 6, that's nearly £200,000 before you've added in living costs. And living costs here, they reckon typically about $8,850. I can tell you it's a lot more. 10 years ago, I was giving my son £1,000 a month when he was at university just for living costs. Again, look at Harvard over here. This is what they reckon per year, $64,000 just for a typical kind of degree. And again, over here, if we look at UCL, University College of London, which probably is one of the cheapest places to go, best value, £9,000 a year. UCL, add on to other kinds of degrees, medicine, $29,000, engineering, architecture, $19,000 a year. So crazy, crazy prices. So if you have a look at this over here, so I'll come up with the next visual over here, UK University annual costs, and that's really, really low. You can almost double those, but let's just work on 12 to 15, or US University up to $34,000. A 4-year course in the US, $136,000. If we look at 3% inflation, that's going to increase to $217,000. Where are you going to get that money from in 10 years' time? And think about this. This is per child. Do you have more than one child? Have you got the money to actually take it out of your bank account? And how's it going to affect you? Wouldn't you like a more convenient way to fund this? Would you be interested if you could reduce the cost? Well, of course. Let's look at a 10-year savings plan. Put away $1,154 a month over 10 years. Now again, you could change that to 3-4% growth, and the lower the growth you put in here, of course, the more they're going to have to put away. But yeah, comparing that, you're going to save 56% if you use a regular savings plan. So again, these visuals, and I'm not going to go and explain every one, but here's a lot of others over here. These are on critical illness, chances of having a critical illness within the next 20 years. So if you've got a client 50 years old, there's some of the illnesses they could possibly get. Chance of critical illness versus a death claim. Chances are you're going to get a critical illness rather than die. Sometime you're going to die, but something's going to happen to you, male, female smoker, and death claims versus critical illness claims. 1 in 3 people in Britain will have cancer. Well, I guarantee that's in every country. If I sit with a group of people, I always say to them, do you know anybody that has cancer? 90% of them knows somebody. And again, over here, more than 15 million people in England have a chronic or long-term disease. If in the US, you'd put in the same kind of statistics. I mean, it's just crazy how many people are getting chronic diseases. Now, again, there's quite a few more charts over here. I'm not going to explain every one to you, but you can see there's a lot on critical illness. For income protection, if your income stopped today, cross off the monthly items that would have to go because you couldn't afford them. Mortgage, car, holidays, entertainment, clothes, food, and you just keep quiet. Now, I see some people that say, you know what, I work for IBM, I work for Microsoft, I have a fully funded pension, I have 5 times life insurance, I've got plenty in the bank, I don't even have a mortgage. And I say, that's absolutely fantastic. There's not much I can do for you. The problem is, if you get some critical illness, how long is your company going to keep you paid at that kind of level? Give you those benefits? You're now 38 years old, are they going to keep you here till 65? And of course they're going to say no, they're not going to do that. So, whoa, what happens over there? Everything then changes. All of those change to debt, bankruptcy, loss, friends and children reliance. So there's the 41 visual aids. As I say, you can change them, do whatever you want to. If you go into your normal PowerPoint over here, you can insert your own logo. If you wanted to put in a logo over here, you just go and insert a picture. You'd go and have a look for your logos, and so let's just look for one of my logos here if I was you, and I would go in and I'd say, okay, there's a logo, there's one of my logos, and I'm going to put in that logo there, and let's make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to put them all down in the right hand corner here. So there you can put in your logos, you can put in your website address. Let's say you want to put in your website address. I would just go and insert the text box over here, and I would just type there www.frankfurness.com, and let's move that over to the corner here. Let's put it there. So now if I'm going through those same visuals with the clients, there it is. There's my logo, there's my website address. Before I go in, let's say there's only a few of them I want to show. Let's say there's those 3 I want to hide, so I can hide all of those slides. I don't like that one, I want to hide that over there. And the school fees planning, I don't actually like 9%, let's change that to 3%. So we go in there and we can change that to 6% inflation, and then you'll just work it out, and it's going to come out to maybe 480,000, and then you'd work out how much you have to put in there. So all of these are editable. They're great to use, and fantastic value. Start using them straight away. Hey, this is Frank, and thanks for watching.